Hey everybody, it's that time, and we're going to talk to y'all for just a second while people get on here and know that we're on, and I'm going to share to our pages as always. How are y'all doing tonight? How are y'all doing?
Yeah, hello, good evening.
What did you do today, mister?
I worked, and I drove around. I went outside and measured, and it was very cold and windy.
Yep.
It was way colder than I thought. It said it was 40 degrees, but it felt like 38, 33.
Well, I thought that the feels like was like supposed to be down into the 20s.
It was cold. I was very close to Lake Conroe.
Yeah.
And couldn't see the lake, but I sure could feel it.
I was at home doing nothing.
In bed.
I was. Couldn't breathe, y'all.
Trying to
My asthma was so bad.
not breathe the yellow air. So
I don't know if it shared or not.
It's pretty amazing. Washed the car the other day, and the very next, before we even got home, it was covered.
Yeah. That's the pollen. See, we have so much pollen, and then it gets, it's like it's supposed to be spring. Hey, it's spring! And then it's not spring, it's winter. My lungs are like, ah! They're screaming.
What are they doing?
They're like, they just don't know what to do. So, okay, that's done. So y'all come join us, and as y'all get on here, say hey if you want to. I'm expecting Jenny to get on here in a little bit, and Jax is going to say, good night, Omano Pa. Because that's what we get to do every time we're on here going to bed. That's how we know that it's 9 o'clock. So, what are we talking about? Oh, introduce us. Yeah, we just don't do this very well.
Well, we start off by
chatting,
setting things up. And
we are. And then we forget.
Personal, very less formal that way.
Then we forget. Y'all, there's a couple people watching. It shows us that. So y'all come say, hey, tell us you're here. It's not, and I don't know if y'all are even commenting. Somebody comment so I know that if I can see them or not. Because sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
What? We're talking about.
Do you want to introduce us?
Sometimes you feel.
You going to introduce us?
Yep. All right, everybody. Guess what time it is? No, it's a different show. Today, we got a new topic. But first, I want to let you know, I'm Todd. This is Michelle.
That's Hot Todd.
And this is another episode of What Really Matters. And today, What Really Matters topic is about rearing your children to be...
adults. Can they adult?
Being adults.
Can they adult?
Make sure you hit the things you need to hit before your kids move out of the house. 18, 21, 30. No. We're going to take care of making sure they don't move out at 30 or come back when they're 30.
Sometimes there's needs, and I get it.
Yeah.
That's not our thing. And I'm just going to clarify right here. I do not like, adulting. Adulting is hard. I don't want to adult anymore today. I do think it's funny to use on occasion, and I get it. But the reality is you can't just stop adulting. Yes, being an adult is harder than you think it was when you were a child. But our society makes it out to be just this big, bad, horrible thing. But if you prepare your kids properly, then it's not that bad.
That's the point of today. We have had many conversations. We obviously have our normal conversations with people as we go through life, and then we also have conversations that we hear for this program while we're doing those. So we're hearing kind of two different things going on. Sometimes we're having a conversation, and yet we're also hearing people looking for answers or succeeding or failing in other areas, and we bring those topics in. And this is one of those topics where we've heard again and again, and the other day we went, you know what, let's do this again. Let's do this, only let's do it from the perspective of getting the kids prepared to be doing what they're doing. And I just get to hear myself over here. So the point of today is, what are we going to tell you that you don't already know?
Well, there's going to be a few things. Hold on.
There's a few things here and there. Most people know a lot of this. Some people don't. You'd be surprised.
Well, one of the reasons...
when you talk to enough people...
One of the reasons
left out of this
I picked this topic was because of a conversation with a friend of mine the other day that has a teenager, and I was like, oh my word. I mean,
Yep.
there are some things that these kids need to know, and they're not being taught. Now, granted, there are some of y'all who are doing this, and you're doing a great job. And then there are some of y'all who need to start doing this because, and so we're going to go over several things.
Yep.
But
You'll know much of it and go, oh, I never thought about that.
Some of it you're going to go like, yeah. So we kind of feel like, oh, our kids are so little and they can't do anything, and you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Have expectations for your children.
Y'all, I was doing dishes on a chair in front of a sink, washing dishes by hand and rinsing them. We didn't have dishwashers back in the day.
You were the dishwasher.
I was the dishwasher, but I was 5 years old. We were cleaning house with my parents, at an early age. The family did it together so we could go play.
Right.
We learned to do certain chores and those kinds of things. Now, I know a lot of the parents
Wait
today
a minute.
with
You did chores before you
played. Yes.
Wow.
But as a family, we kind of learned to do some stuff. And then during the week, Sunday lunch, we would have lunch. Dad and Mom cooked. Dad mostly did it all on that part. And then the kids would do the dishes. Now, I will tell you that there was a couple of times that I put dishes. We had a carport thing on the side of our house, and so there's bushes over here with the driveway, and then there's a door that went right into the kitchen. Okay, y'all see where I'm going? And I went and took dishes and stuck them behind the bushes because I was 5 and I didn't want to wash dishes, so I just hid them, and my daddy found them.
Well, because you didn't have unlimited dishes.
Well, yes, but he also had to get in the car, and he could see the dishes through the bushes. So, anyway, that's a little tattletale on me when I was 5. But kids can do this. They're very capable of cleaning and doing. Now, I know you're going to have to grow them into certain chores, but there are charts out there that'll show you that age appropriate.
Do you think that your mother might have actually thought twice, 3 times about putting a 5-year-old up there with her nice dishes? I bet she expected a plate or two to break, but it wasn't about the breaking dishes. It was about learning responsibility, wasn't it?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I don't think we had nice stuff.
Doesn't matter. You dropped the little plastic, those little red cups you get from Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so we're going to talk about kids learning the basics to help around the house. This is just one of the topics, so we need to kind of move on because there's a few things.
Yep.
They need to learn to do the things around the house when they're growing up because they need to provide it when they're married. And I will tell you, one of the things that was not ingrained to my husband was laundry and cleaning house.
Thanks, Mom.
And not cooking either. None of it. Because Mom had a role, and military wife, and Dad was in the military, and so she and I know it was a different time as well. But my dad, I grew up. My dad did all the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the stuff, and I was just like, so I'm expecting men to do this, right? Well, he did not, and so I had to teach him. Now he hates cleaning with a passion, but he'll cook. And he'll help with the dishes, and he'll help with the laundry. He'll vacuum. He'll do certain things.
Sound like a trained pet.
Your alarm. So he does some things, but he was not taught that. We were taught that. We chose over time because he learned that he needed to help. Because there's, nowadays men and women both work, generally speaking. Sometimes the dad's at home, sometimes the mom's at home, and you can decide then who's going to do what chores. But the kids need to see both parents cooking and cleaning and doing wash so that they realize this is what is a real thing. So he learned to do that. But the nice part is he was all about, my kids need to learn this. Not just my girl, but my boys too. They need to learn this. And so we did teach them to cook, to clean, to do laundry. They could do all of the stuff, sweeping, mopping. I mean, they threw stuff under their beds and in their closets. Don't get me wrong, they're kids. Because that's what kids do. But they did do it. Here's the big failure that we did on them when we were preparing them to be adults, because we are going to be talking about several different areas that we know we did right. Here's my big one that we did wrong. Mm-hmm. So they did learn to cook and to clean and to do laundry. And my daughters-in-laws are so happy because our boys are cooking and cleaning and, taking care of things. They're not having to do it on their own. And Drayton and Jillian, she cooks her own food and he cooks his own food because she's vegan. No, she's the other one. What? I don't know. She doesn't eat meat
She's
or
a
something. And none of it's a big deal.
Right.
They just take care of themselves, but they're still eating together, if that makes sense. And so it's really nice because one can, it all works out because they both know what they're doing. So the part that we did not prepare them for was...
What was that?
Filing taxes. I always did it for the boys when they were home. And instead of teaching them, and budgeting properly. We did not teach them to budget properly. Mm-hmm. 2 reasons. One, I didn't budget very well myself. I'm telling you, when we tell y'all dirty laundry, we're doing that, okay? Mm-hmm. So we did not budget very well. That's on me. I didn't budget well, so my kids learned. And the funny thing is, one's turned out to be a super budgeter beyond budgeting. Like, he's overboard with it. And then we have another one who's learned to budget and done very well with it. And then we have one who can't because, we haven't taught it to him. But the nice part is...
There's time.
The youngest one's at home. And when this topic came up, I was realizing I still have a 21-year-old who's a little behind 21, but not too much. But he's my baby, and he's at home, and I'm thinking, he works, 12, 14-hour days. I'm going to do his laundry. I do not clean his room. But, he hasn't had to help cook or clean or do any of the stuff. And he's over here like, you got to stop, Mom. So and then I was letting him pay, for car insurance and cell phone and doctor and things, but not charging him rent or anything like that. But I was also letting him pay out each week because he gets paid each week. But the reality is, if he's an adult and he's living on his own, rent is due on the 1st, right?
You gotta learn. You gotta
get
used.
So he's gonna have to learn to be paying
muscle memory.
the big money on the 1st, and he doesn't get to pay the rent a little bit each week when he goes and gets an apartment. And I'm not there to do his wash, and I'm not there to cook his food or pack his lunch and all the things that I've done. So I've kind of now, we all still live here, so we all cook. But he's learned to cook he's already learned how to cook, but now he's starting to cook for us.
Ask him to cook
or
egg
do
roll
the dishes.
in a bowl.
Egg roll in a bowl, he is on top of. Woohoo! That's our favorite meal. He likes that one. So those are just some of the basics. And please help him learn to budget. I thought I was doing a good job with most of the stuff, but things fall through the crack and you just don't think about what they need to know. So our next topic, are you doing the next one or is it yes?
This one?
Yeah.
The manners?
You want me to do? Or do you do?
It's a leading cause of controversy is the manners deficit that we see around us. I see some good manners that take place and they actually stand out. It's not that unusual. Kids need to learn it, but whenever we're going places, you can definitely see a big difference. The traditional values of the chivalry and whatnot have long gone, and young kids just haven't been held to a accountable level in terms of manners. And we're talking about simple things.
But I'm gonna give young people some credit here because I am very rarely am I in public that I'm going in or out a door that has to be opened if somebody's already there. No matter their age, they open it for me. Talking about a guy.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a girl that's already there going in and she'll hold it open so I don't have to
We do get a lot of that, especially over there.
So I do think that it's not as dead as people want to make it out to be when it comes to opening the door going into stores and
that's a big Texas phenomenon. You see a lot more of it here, and I think that there is a Texas value base for that really drives a lot of it. And I think that I used to be derogatory when I'd say good old boy. I'm not anymore. Those are the good classic values of family and country living that I do believe are still instilled throughout a very wide spectrum of Texas right now. But we've been other places where it's like, well, just let that door fly in my face.
Sometimes.
Please, thank you, you're welcome, bless you. I don't get the bless you thing.
It's when you sneeze.
I know, but I mean, it's always one of those things.
It's a manner.
I just never got. I'm like,
because they're holding their breath. It has to do with, I don't remember where it comes from.
You should be saying, excuse me.
Well, okay. So at the office, Tom says, excuse me, and I'm saying bless you.
Yeah.
So it all happens together. So
another one that's a big one is, oh my goodness, and we forget about it, but guys get it. Well, you were cold earlier.
I turned on the heat because I was freezing, and now I'm burning up.
The concept of elders having the seniority. Oh my goodness. You are going someplace and there's an elderly man or a woman there. Let them have your seat. Open the door for them. Be courteous. Offer your hand to help them in any way. It's not because they're feeble and unable. It's a sign of respect.
Right.
And that respect directly relates to what you're taught at home. And that's kind of what the rest of this is about here. So,
well, and that's like whenever we would do the family game nights or the church game nights, everybody come over. My kids, even now, and they're adults, it's like sit on the floor because all of us adults is going to be on the couches. Yeah. So my kids know, and then they do it. And so just make sure your kids know what to do with that. How about sending thank you notes? That's a big one. And I didn't do a good job at it because I felt like if my kids had...
Can you email that?
And, well, I mean, technically you can. Here was my thinking when they were growing up. If they had a birthday party and people came over and gave them a thank you, a birthday gift, they would say thank you right there. And,
works.
To me, that was good enough. You said thank you. They said you're welcome, and you opened it and you went and played. But sometimes it's not really good enough, and some people really want the thank you notes and the thank you cards. So there are definitely times that it should be done.
It's pretty formal, don't you think?
Well, I do, but it is still something that needs to happen.
You'll know who.
There are some people who want that.
Yes.
If they're going, one of the things that brought this to my mind when I was writing this one was. We had a Boy Scout who's going to be an Eagle Scout come to our office to learn some stuff about architecture, to get an architecture badge or something to go towards his Eagle Scout. And Tom spent a good hour and a half with him going over a bunch of stuff. And then...
he was an Eagle Scout too.
And then, right. And so, but then we got a thank you card in the mail. And Tom goes, well, somebody's raising their kid right. Turn your alarm off. Oh, my word.
It's time to take my medicine. All right.
So
she's the one that said, set your alarm to take your meds. And we do this at 9 o'clock. So you picture...
Turn it off.
There you go.
Anyway, see, y'all get to see us in all our glory. So anyway, thank you notes are very important, but, use at your discretion. But they still should be taught to do that.
Well, big time for thank you notes. Graduation, weddings.
Oh, yeah. Well, and
life
if it
events,
is a birthday gift, if they did go get you something really big, I mean,
Shouldn't matter.
I don't know. Anyway, so on to the next topic, because we don't want to hold
Boys and
everybody
girls.
Up. Yes. That is a big topic for me, isn't it?
Boys and girls?
Yes.
What other kind of children are there?
Well, there's not. But this is a big topic for me because...
I don't mean to get all binary on
here.
No,
but we're going to get... There may be a little politics come into play for just a second. And it's not going to be really big. It's just a little bit. I'm really, 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 really tired of...
That's really...
Really... Of the feminists saying, we have to teach our girls they can be anything that they want to be, yada, 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 yada. And dismiss the boys. I have a girl and I have 3 boys. And I want everything from my daughter that she ever wants in life. I want her to go for it. She can be and do whatever she wants. She could be president. She could be congresswoman. I don't care. She could be a stay-at-home mom, which has been her choice.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop her, and I will encourage her to do everything. but I am not going to hold my boys back from being any of those same things if that's what they choose, because we should be encouraging both. And if you have boys and you have girls, you should be encouraging both and not limiting them. And I have no problem with the fact that women should be, well, I don't really want to be equal with a man. I want him to have to do stuff for me. I'm just going to say that right there. But,
opportunity-wise,
I do think that the opportunity that's out there for us to make money and to do whatever, kind of things. Yes, there should be an equality. Should we all vote? Yes, of course, all of those things. I'm not disregarding that. I'm just saying you should encourage both kids.
And for whatever it's worth in regards to what you just said, the funny part is she was kind of pointing at a certain group that kind of wants to focus so much on the females only and kind of forget the other group because they're then the leaders.
Well, or they bash
in
the
the
men
classrooms
completely.
or whatnot. Here's the irony. More women today are attending college than men. More women are getting higher degrees than men. More women are graduating than men. More women are rising faster in the industry than men. So...
go girls.
Go
and
girls.
I'm all for that.
Go
I'm
girls.
just saying don't hold the boys back.
Yep.
Just it should be an equal race. Okay. Now that's just my pet peeve. I'm just sharing with y'all. Now the other thing is you have boys and girls. They're kids. You know what? They're kids.
I mean, they don't know much or better.
They are who they are. God created them. Your little boy might play with Barbie dolls, and that's okay. Your little girl might play with the truck, and that's okay. Because you know what? They're going to play with all of it.
Probably the head's coming off the Barbie doll and the truck's going to fly, but that's
all
fine.
Kinds of stuff. I'm just saying, let them be. Let them be. Let them do.
That's a unicorn truck.
Let them do. Let them have fun. Let them... We shouldn't be into, and I don't really care, pinks and blues, and they get to wear whatevers and bows and all that. And if you have a little girl, you want to frou-frou her up, that's, more power to you. Because, I'm all for that. You also don't have to. So I'm just saying you don't really have to be just pushing their genders on them. But you don't have to be afraid that they're playing with the other gender's toys. That all goes with being equal. We just get to play.
Right.
We're just playing.
Right.
We're just having fun. Okay, so finishing up this particular paragraph. The biggest thing is teach your kids value of, what did I say? I don't remember.
I don't know either.
I don't.
There's your paper.
Yeah, no. Okay, so kids need to be taught that they can be anything they want to be. And they need to be taught that it's not all about money and prestige, that it's about being happy. You want to encourage your children to find happiness. So, he's an architect. Well, let me tell you, when I met him, I was like, ooh la la, he's gonna be rich. Yeah, lordy. No. We're okay. We're definitely not in the extreme rich, or the baby rich, or any of that rich. None of the rich has fallen on us. But we're okay. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
We're not poor, but he's happy. The whole point was he didn't go after this.
Well, I didn't run the corporate route. I ran my own route, and I would much rather be in control of my destiny.
Because you wanted to be happy.
Yes.
That's my whole point. And I want to be with him wherever he is. We could be on a North 40 in a shack out in the middle of nowhere. It's not about money. It's about being happy with him. And that's what we need to encourage our children to realize. Once they realize money is not going to be your happiness, prestige is not going to be your happiness. Don't get me wrong. If we were millionaires, I'm sure I'd love it. But it's still not going to take away some of the problems we face every day.
When our kids were looking at us in terms of what am I going to do for the rest of my life, we encourage them to find the areas not just that they're talented in, but also what they enjoy. There's a combination that takes place with that. Telling these people, a good example. You ever watched American Idol? Yeah? Ever seen somebody on there that totally sucks at what they do? Don't encourage that kid to become a singer.
Okay, that's
when they
later
can't sing
on. That's at the end.
That's one of the issues that we want to make sure you.
Jumping the shark, people. No. No. Okay, so we are going to tell you to encourage your children to go to college if they're college kids material. That's what they want to do.
That was my point.
Go to go to the trade schools, or just start a job. Just whatever they want to do. So those are the things. We had our oldest son. Our daughter got married and had babies, and she kind of started college and was going to be a nurse, and then she got married and had kids, and she stayed home, which is, hey, that was my calling. I loved it. So our second child, our oldest son, I was telling him he's not going to go to college. He's just not, and he graduated at 18, but at 21, he went to college, and he's currently at 27, going on 28, working on getting his PhD. So you just never know.
Sometimes you got to back off and
let them make their way. Yes.
He found it. He worked his way through it.
Right.
He's where he should be.
Okay. Go ahead.
So
we're trying to hurry because I know y'all don't want to be on here for long, and we got a long ways to go.
Girls, talking specifically, need to learn that they're beautiful, and they need to realize what beauty is and what it isn't. And they need to have self-image and be self-aware of who they are and their value as a woman, as a young girl becoming a woman. They need to understand that they have intrinsic value and they have an intrinsic purpose that serves them through their whole life. It's uniquely theirs. It's not something a guy has. It's uniquely something that women have. They are unique in their own way. Because of who they are. And a lot of that's a part of a father's job to instill that into them. I didn't do a really great job. I did an okay job. Should have done a lot better. Didn't really have anybody tell me. As a father, you need to be constantly using words to uplift women.
Which is why we're doing this right now.
Right. And so, you embolden them into being able to be and do more in their life. They need to hear the words from men, especially
their dads.
It needs to be, yes, the father speaking this into their lives so that they feel love and being loved, and therefore can express love and love themselves. There's so many women that can't love themselves because they've never been given permission to do so. I know a lot of young girls go through a lot of different things I'll never understand. But I know that it's a very trying time. During those times, if they don't have that instilled in the middle of them, Satan will tell them all kinds of terrible things about who they are and what they are, and they're all lies. And they will believe this and incorporate that into themselves, especially with the junk that's on TV that makes them feel inferior and less than, and the degradation that happens to them. There has to be something positive in their life spoken in on a daily basis that constantly overpowers the negative that comes in day after day after day from magazines and the internet, the whole 9 yards. It's a lot.
It is.
Women are a focus of a lot of things going on here.
You need to go down to here.
And that means that fathers date your daughters. We learned that along the way. We didn't know it from the beginning, but my goodness, I got to call Crystal up and tell her we're going to go to...
you need to go to your Mekong.
We need to go to Mekong because that was a special place. That sounds so good right now. Full of carbs, though.
Yeah, but it's worth it if you're dating your daughter.
Find things you can do together. Make the sacrifice of time to do it. That's one of the
things that they loved.
And I told her a lot that I would do it, and I never made the time, and that was my big failing. I made broken promises are never a good thing.
You did go. You just didn't go as much as you probably should have. Yep. But you did do it. Yep. You dated her some, and you spent some time with her. But it's not too late, and that's the other thing. It's not too late to go to dinner with your dad. It's not too late, know. I mean, you're calling Crystal up and doing that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the boys because I'm going to combine some of what he didn't say with the girls because he went off on a thing which was very important. They both need to be told a couple of things. Boys need to learn hygiene, okay? I'm just saying. And they don't really get it until they're mid-teens. I'm telling you. It takes some time, parents. Boys are tough when it comes to hygiene. Just hang in there. It's going to stink for a while around your house, but it'll get better. But both are going to be good at sports, and they both need to learn grace, and they both need to learn to love themselves, boys and girls. They both need to know how to treat their friends and how their friends should treat them. Boys need to know how to respect women, okay? And the only way they're going to learn that is how dad treats mom. Is dad constantly putting mom down and saying names and doing things, or backhanding her, for God forbid? I mean, those kinds of things.
With
That's
words
what.
or
That's
with, yeah.
right. That's what the boys are going to learn to take into their future, and then girls are going to learn that that's okay. So, mamas, you have to protect your children. Daddies, you are setting the example for your children. Well, technically you both are, but moms, you're the nurturer, you're the protector. You need to be there. So do that. Okay, so I dated my boys. Now, most of what we learned, unfortunately for Crystal, she was a teenager. She was probably 14, 15 years old when we started applying this stuff. So I didn't really implement a bunch of it because I felt like I would upset her, which is the wrong thing to do. I wish there was a show like
this back then.
Yeah, yes, it would have helped. So I didn't really push her into a lot of this, and it might have saved us some grief, her and us, had I went ahead and just forced this on her as well. The boys got most of it, but he did date her some. I dated the boys since they were tiny. I mean, Weston was probably 4. And we would go on a date. I would put the money in his wallet. And yes, he's 4 people. And we would get out and he would help me open my car door. And so I could get in. I didn't get in because I'd have to go open his back door and put him in and seatbelt him in. But he opened my door to put me in the car. He still learned. He paid for the meal. He had his restaurants. All of the boys did this. In fact, talking to Drayton last night, we were FaceTiming with him, and he brought up, I said, do you know of anything? And I said, I know we did some right things. And he goes, well, I remember dating you. And I thought, well, that was precious. You know, he remembers the dating me. But it not only did the part about the dating me and teaching them how to treat a lady was we were in Springfield at Thanksgiving, and Katie and Quentin were not married yet, and we were going to go shopping, and there's this big puddle out in the deal, and he's helping her, you know, it's almost like he was putting the coat down for her to walk over the water, but not quite. And it was just really super sweet to watch because I felt like I had a part of that, of teaching him how to be a gentleman and know how to treat his wife. So, you know, teach your boys to do that. Girls, you know, dads, teach your girls that they need to expect some things like that. He does not open my door every time. Nope. He does a lot.
I do a lot.
He does usually walk in front of me holding my hand, and a lot of women would think that's terrible. I want it that way. I'm following him. And for me, maybe subconsciously, that's my way of being submissive. But it's not, I mean, he's not demanding I'm behind him. I'm the one who's just kind of following along. Ooh, you know what I mean?
We walk side by side. What are you talking about?
Well, no, but like if we're going into church to pick a seat and stuff, I definitely make sure I'm behind you so you can go forward.
Tell me you go pick it up.
Yes, that's right. That's my point. Anyway, so your boys and your girls, modesty. Boys need modesty as well. Girls need to learn modesty. That's a big one. And that putting themselves on display is not what's going to get them the right attention. And I see way too much of it out there. But anyway, so we are down to this one. If you want to do that.
Apologizing goes around. Everyone needs to see it happen. The parents need to teach the children by doing it. Apologizing is a major feature in success in all relationships.
And you'll have to apologize for crap for your whole life. I'm just saying. I mess up regularly. I have to apologize. That's my point.
Right. I mean, it's kind of built in.
I don't mean like I'm apologizing for stuff from way back.
You're not apologizing
I'm
for
like,
other people either.
Yeah,
You're seriously apologizing for failures and things of communication, or not following through, or broken promise,
right,
or encouraged something that never happened and got false hopes, things like that. These are all apology situations, or just plain old situations where you've just done something.
Oh, you just made a mistake.
Wrong. You made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Recognizing that there is...
You know one I apologize for way ahead of time, which is really funny?
That you're going to cry?
No, well, that one. Yeah, that one I do. But the other one is if I know I'm going to have a, we'll call it a hormonal day. And I know I'm going to not be really nice, but I know that I'm probably not going to be able to help it, right?
Yeah, I get a warning, and I'm like, oh boy, fun day coming.
I'm like, I'm sorry, and I'm going to work at it my best, but I can feel it on the inside. But I'm letting you know if things come through, I'm really trying not to. Just bear with me. But I apologize even ahead of time for that.
But here's the balance. Adults, parents, yes, apologize to your kids when it fits, when it is needed.
Right.
They need to know that happens. It's not a one-way thing. Kids just aren't only the ones who have to apologize to their parents. It's just that kids are learning, so they have more opportunities to apologize.
Parents
for
can
things.
be wrong on
But
some
parents
things.
can be wrong, kids can be wrong, and both can be wrong. And you can come to an agreement and recognize we all need to recognize that we did something and failed, and we need to fix it and make it better. You can't make things better without first admitting that there was a failure.
Well, and it helps a child to have respect for the parents when the parents are taking on the responsibility and teaching their children to take the responsibility and move forward.
Infallible,
right?
Yeah, if you're so self-righteous that you don't ever stink,
right? If the parent was always right just because they're the parent, that is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so children need to be brought up in church. Pray and study the Bible with your kids. Mm-hmm. Here's one of the things we did with our kids that was phenomenal in the sense that they learned Scripture and we had fun. We played Bible trivia. And, the little board game where you had to move around and do all the stuff. But they had to learn the Bible this way. And it was really good. And we went to church all the time. And the boys were on praise and worship team, so we were at church like all the time. That does not make us a perfect family. That just means that's where their social life was.
Right.
But that I would rather it be there.
Pretty safe place to be.
Right. And no, none of them were perfect, and none of the youth were perfect, and none of the youth pastors were perfect because we're all human. And if you're looking for perfection, well, that's going to not happen. But they were learning God's Word, and they were learning how to pray. They were learning how to worship. They were learning all the things that they need. And I know the 3 adult children who are married, the youngest one kind of does with us from time to time, but the 3 adult ones do their praise and worship, and they do go to church, and they do study the Bible and devotions with their spouses. Mm-hmm. And so that makes me feel good because I feel like we kind of did our thing. So, and when children are taught these things, even though they might stray and go do some stuff, and they may not go to church, they may, whatever you want to plug in here, drink, smoke. I mean, I got pregnant at 16, so, I'm just saying, things happen in people's lives, and it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but it doesn't ruin you either. So parents, love your children through it and help them. Mm-hmm. And they're going to come back. They're going to find God in their own way. Don't forget to pray for them daily and their friends, because their friends are the ones who are going to guide them.
Perhaps.
And iron sharpens iron. Who you hang out with. My daughter hated me saying that. But you are who you hang out with. You're with positive people, loving people, fun people. You're going to be that. You're with negative Nancy. That's what you're going to be. You hang out with druggies and all of those things. Well, eventually, that's what you're going to be.
In jail.
I'm just saying. So pray for your children and their friends.
Yep.
I even prayed a few away back in the day, just saying, because they were not good people. So don't start praying for them even when they're adults. Okay, last little bit, and then we're going to pray for y'all.
Which part?
Well,
Making a relationship? I got this part.
Okay, I'm doing this one. This kind of goes into keeping them with church and the Bible and relationships and praying for them. You want to make sure your children know they can come to you with anything. It doesn't matter what it is. They can mess up really, really, really bad, like I did. I got pregnant.
And tell them that. And now allow that to happen, and then tell yourself when it does happen to respond appropriately.
Well,
because you've left the door open.
I taught my kids, you have a right to tell me, like, when you're angry and you're upset, but you have to have respect when you do it, because we should be able to talk things out, especially when they were older.
That doesn't mean they can yell at you. Older, it means later on you can come and talk about it. It doesn't mean you can bark at me.
Right, that's why I said respectfully. Mm-hmm. And then Crystal and I worked out a code where we kind of were hitting a rough patch when she was, 14 or so. And we just worked out a deal. She would say a word, and that would mean she's going to tell me something that I'm going to get really freaked out about. But I can't get freaked out because she used a code word. So, do whatever it takes to help yourself for your kids to come talk to you. I can remember open, right? It did, because I remember several things that she came to me with that she needed to discuss with me. And for me not to freak out. And so it worked. It helped. Did I ever go over the top? Yeppers. Did I ever lose it? Yeppers. Did I ever have to apologize? Yep. But for the most part, my kids all knew they could come to me or to him with a problem.
Sounds like it was working like a charm.
No, I'm just saying, you've got a lot of kids with a lot of years. There's going to be times that you go over the top, right? Because there's a lot. There's a lot.
But you at least established a safe space, so to speak, quote
right.
unquote.
Well,
and they can approach you with it knowing that we're going to deal with this in a non-hostile
Well, how does God deal with this? God gives us mercy and grace.
Right.
We should extend that to our spouses and our children, right? Now, God does not always take the consequences away from our actions. Mm-hmm. If I've done wrong and I ask God to forgive me, that's awesome. But that doesn't mean he's going to say, well, just because I've forgiven you and we're working stuff out does not mean that the natural realm of things that's going to naturally take place from this are you not going to have to go through. I'm just going to be here with you to do it. And that's kind of the way it is with parents. You're still going to have to discipline. You're still going to have to help your kids through it. Just kind of give them some mercy and grace while you're taking those actions. You can't just say, oh, well, thank you for telling me. We're done now, because they're not going to learn anything that way.
Yeah, you're not punishing them just to make them hurt. You're punishing them
so
that they learn.
Yeah, but you can do it with mercy and grace and still have the punishment or the discipline. I hate punishment as a word, because it's really you're trying to discipline them into being an adult so that they are learning and growing and maturing. Okay, one more topic.
One more. It's kind of a shotgun list. Here's my things I think we left out in here that we're just going to throw out there real quick to talk about.
We always wind up talking so long. I hope y'all are
For heaven's sake, people, correct your children. I see too many times where children believe that they're your best friend and that you don't ever correct them. Just correct your children. It is your responsibility as an adult to correct your children. Do it appropriately. If parents are not children's friends, please don't try and be your children's friend. Save that for after they're like 25. You can be their friend after they're 25. If they're mature enough.
It's fun when they're adults and you get to hang out with them as your friends. I can tell you that.
Yep. Please do not overpraise your children. If your child is good at something, you should lift them up and encourage them. They are not great. They're not a genius. They are not the best thing in the world. There are people who are going to be equal and better than them. They need to know these things. Do not overpraise your children. Do not give them trophies for everything that they do.
You should tell them when they do well.
Yes, you should be lifting them up and proud of them in all that they do. But do not oversell your children. They have a misplaced relationship with the world if they think they get a special something for everything they do. You're not serving your children well. Hold children accountable for their actions. Everyone does things.
I already said that.
We've talked about that. Teach respect for authorities. We talked about that. And for heaven's sake, really important, teach your kids how to read cursive. They can't read the Constitution if they can't read cursive. Really, I'm being serious. I mean, there's so many legal documents or things that are out there. I know we don't use it very much anymore. I just think it makes for it's amazing to me how many times you can't even write something to your kids, they can't read it. And I know it's not part of the fundamentals today, but you can't read.
Okay, there's one that he kind of went over when he was doing this. They need to know that winning's good and that losing's okay.
Yep.
I mean, you got to have both in life. Both are going to happen in your life.
Always happens.
You're going to pass at a lot of stuff and you're going to fail at a lot of stuff. Everybody does. It happens. They need to learn how to do both and do both with grace. That's like in school, and succeed and fail. It's all that part's all. So you're winning and you're losing. You're being, you're succeeding in life. You're failing at life. We all have days or things that we need to accomplish, and they need to know that it's okay to fail at something, because how are you gonna enjoy it when you've succeeded if you don't even know what failure feels like?
You can't curl up in a ball and stay there forever because you failed at something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, we are done, and I'm sorry. I mean, I know I keep trying to do these in 30 minutes, and it just never happens.
It's all those stories about bushes and dishes and stuff. I don't know what.
I hope y'all got something out about how to raise your kids.
Don't
to
put
be
your
adults.
dishes in the bushes. If you walk away today, that's the one thing.
We are going to pray for parents now, because it's a tough job. It's the toughest job you'll ever have. Because being a grandma, that's not so tough. It's kind of fun.
All right.
You want me to pray?
Yeah.
Okay. Father, I thank you and I praise you for all of our wonderful friends that are out there that are raising babies and elementary kiddos and maybe even high school and junior high kiddos. They may still have some in college that's at home. And Lord, I just pray for wisdom and for grace and for strength for these parents. I pray that you would anoint them, because this is a calling. All of us have a calling as parents. And Lord, I pray that you give them the anointing that they need and that you give them the wisdom, Lord. That I just ask that you would anoint these families, these children, Lord. I just pray that you bless them with good grades, that they work hard, Lord, and they have fun. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So if y'all have any prayer requests, as always, you can comment. Most people prefer to send a message, and you can do that. And we'd be happy to pray for you. We had 3 or 4 from last week. We didn't have an episode last week, but I got a lot of prayer requests last week, and so we've been
take
praying.
them anytime.
Yes,
you can
we
send
will.
them in the middle of the night.
And
we
will be praying for y'all. So we will continue for the next couple of weeks. Our prayers will be on the parents and being able to raise the kids right. I am going to ask for y'all to please like and share our page and our videos if you get anything out of it, because we want to grow what really matters, and we know that we aren't perfect, and these are a little bit long, but people might need to hear some things that I know. I'm still talking. Anyway.
I love you.
I love you. Y'all have a great evening. And the other thing is
one more. Oh my goodness.
The next topic is going to be a little bit
Is it? Is that the one you're going to do?
I think.
What are you going to call it?
I don't know. I'm just saying it's going to be touchy.
A little risque?
It's going to be a little
risque?
Yeah, it is.
Is it PG?
Nope, it's not going to be for your kids. It's going to be for moms and dads.
Moms and dads.
Moms and daddies.
I can hardly wait.
So, and if y'all have any topics, let us know.
Yeah, I know what it is.
I just feel like it's a topic that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, we're going to have to make silhouettes or something and not look at anybody.
We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.